Welcome to Puvanur RVIR Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics. Welcome to Puvanur RVIR Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics. Today is the last class I am going to handle in Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam 11 beat cycle. We are in level 4, just to recollect. We are learning basic korvais and learning some good ideas how to build our creativity. Before I get into the class, I will start this class with a Tirukkural. நில்லாதவற்றை நிலையென என்று உணரும் புல்லறிவாண்மை கடை. What is the meaning of it? நிலையில்லாதவற்றை நிலையானவை என்று எண்ணி மயங்குகின்ற புல்லறிவாண்மை. What is the meaning of it? A thing which is not going to be permanent. நிலையில்லாதவற்றை நிலையானவை. If you think that it's going to stay forever, that is your ignorance. That's what Tiruvallur states in this Tirukkural, and that's what even the people who are saintly, who have detached after understanding all this, they will also feel the same. How come these ignorance is there in the people who think all these material things are going to be permanent in their lives? It's not going to be so. So with this good thought, we'll get into the class. I'm very glad we have reached the fag end of this Thala. We have covered 5 episodes, Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam, 11 beat cycle. Hope you have found it interesting with the varieties of korvais, how to make a befitting korvais and sequences into the structure. You have seen a lot of ideas, and I've also given you enough inputs how you can construct your own puzzle games in architecture, like architectural monuments. Today, I'm going to cover up few morahs which are only befitting for Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam. Typically, when I learnt these complex thalas, the inputs given by my masters were to use some jatis of Adi Thalam, Morah and Gandachapu korvai. You just make some combinations and then make it, and you make a sandwich out of it and then make it. What I try to come out with this is more of a laya exercise. I've tried to make a befitting morah which fits exactly for Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam. And korvai also befittingly can start from the beginning and you can play the thalam. That's how it's more an exercise I've made, and this is a good mental exercise. You can also play a combination of any of the morah like Rupaga morah and any korvai which can fit, and then you can make it happen in Misra, Jathi, Triputa. There is no harm in it, but this is easier to remember. Okay, the first morah I'm going to teach you is a combination. Because it's Misra, Jathi, Triputa, Thalam, I'm using a phrase which is 3.5 beats. When you use a phrase of 3.5 beats, it perfectly sits. When it's a 7 beat Misra, the first 7 lagu, for the lagu, it perfectly fits. And for the Triputa, you can play a simple talang within the thumb, that talang within the thumb. It's easier to make a morah very easily, and you can also easy to remember. So the korvai goes like this. As just to refresh what pattern you're going to play for 3.5, the pattern will be like this. This is a perfect phrase for a Misra Chaputhala. So now we use that phrase and then let's make a morah out of it. It's easier. For the Misra, you are used the phrase of 3.5 beats, which is a combination of 1.5 and 2 beats. The 1.5 beat phrase is tam kita taka tari kita taka. The 2 beat phrase is tit thang kita taka tari kita taka. Combination is 3.5 beats, which is half of 7 beat, and perfectly seating. Twice when you repeat it, it perfectly fits into this structure. You can also think about a 7 beat phrase, which can be a variety. One of a variety can be you can use that phrase. 4 times you repeat and then again you use this phrase. It gives a flourish. You can use that phrase as well for a 7 beat, and then you can play this Morah, same Morah. And the only thing, this reduction part is a homework for you. When you're going to use this, I want you to try what you can befittingly for reducing, what is the phrase you're going to choose. The phrase, I will give you the input, the phrase should be of 3.5 beats phrase. Only then it gets fitted into the Thalam. So what the type of phrase you have to use is or when you're reducing in you can use that phrase. So I'm just giving you the idea of how to play different Morahs. But this one is very ideal and effective, and you can use it if you get a chance to play for your concert. That is the Morah. The korvai for this is again a good phrase I have chosen. The second phrase is the third phrase is it's a sequential delinking of the phrases. When I use it next time, I delink the so it will be third time when I use will be delinked, and you will only have that's the combination by which this is structured. That is a korvai. Very simple. So you are structuring it beautifully, interluding with tam, tadi kitatum. Towards the end, what you are trying to do, a balance of tadi kitatum, tathak din ding. It gives a Kantanadai flavor, but it's a 10 akshara korvai. You give an effect of as though you are playing a Kantanadai. Tathak din ding. People will think that you are playing Kantanadai, but actually it's not so. In Chatusram, you are playing a 10 akshara. So it's deceptive. So you should also make the audience deceptive with what you are choosing, the type of patterns you use, the type of way you articulate it. You give a different feel, but you actually play a different thing. So these are all imaginative ideas. Okay. Then the second idea is completely reverse the phrase of 2 beat and 1.5 beat. The same thing, but it gives completely different flavor. The second Morah, it goes like this. Earlier you chose here you take a flourishing pattern. Like that you have to play. Especially when you play longer than the thumb, you have to give a korvai. That's important. When you are reducing, you exactly reduce longer than the thumb. This should be in some Morah you continuously play, in some you have to play with a gap. You have to understand it very carefully and play so that it comes with a beat. The korvai for this is taddik takadina takadina thumb. I'm using the pattern and I'm going to reduce till the end, and then we will see how the korvai is structured here. It's a pretty long korvai, but the reason why I've structured in this big thala, a big korvai, is for your concentration and memory to get the hang of thala and the laya aspect of it. Once when you get those things, it will be very useful when you play a simpler thala. In a complex thala, when it's a longer phrase, when you're trying to do it, your skills are enriched. And that's the reason why I made it intentionally longer. Taddi takadina takadina tam. Taddi takadina takadina tam. Tit takadina takadina tam. Tit takadina takadina tam. Takadina takadina tam. Takadina takadina tam. Takadina tam. Takadina tam. Takadina tam. Takadina tam. Dina tam. Dina tam. Tam. The tom. The ta. Di, ki, ta, dum, ta, 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 di, ki, ta, dum, ta. Here, until the last part, it looks like simple, but the last phrase I made it intentionally a little complex, but to just let the audience know that you are a knowledgeable person. It gives a good rush of blood and gives a beauty into the korvai. So I will show the math behind it as I am briefing in my documentation, e-documentation of these korvais, so that you understand the maths behind of how this is whole thing fits in the Misra Jathi Triputa. I'll play and show you this korvai. That's how you should play this korvai. Only towards the end there is a trickier part, which is a 35 akshara phrase combination. So it comes like this. In Adi Thalam, if you put 32 is samam to samam. So the last beat after one beat, tadikitatum, taradikitatum, tadikitatum, taradikitatum, tadikitatum, tadikitatum. You should first try that piece very strongly in your mind, and then try to fit this into this Misra Jathi Triputa Thalam. So most importantly, only in this korvai, everything is simple. Towards the end, the phrase combination is a little trickier. I made it intentionally so. So for that, this 35 aksharas, you should first tell and recite in Adi Thalam, and then see how it fits, and also see in Misra Jathi Triputa Thalam 1, 2, 3. Actually, after 3 fingers, you are left out with 8. So after 2 fingers, after this one beat, you should try telling this tadikitatum. Takadimi tadikitatum, 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 tadikitatum. You should exactly know. Takadimi tadikitatum, 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 tadikitatum. This alone you have to try and express number of times. Because when the other person is putting tala, you should know where exactly you have to take this last piece, because that's the one which is going to conclude this korvai. So with this, I am concluding Misra Jathi Triputa Thalam. I will conclude this with the Tirukkural. I will start off with Sangirna Jathi Triputa Thalam, 13 beat. The last thala what I am going to take for demonstration, and we will review the basic korvais and how to go about it end to end, like similarly what we have done for the other 8 thalas. With that, it will conclude my level 4. I hope to successfully complete that. People who have traveled, taken a journey in this academy and reached this stage, I would like to personally congratulate. By no means it's an easy achievement to undergo all these learnings and assimilate all these knowledge. The next level is far more advanced, where you're going to get lot many techniques, which I will brief you as I begin that level 5 syllabus. So what are all the things I'm going to cover? As a first class, I will review that. We'll go through the syllabus, and then we will get into systemically approach and cover the syllabus in level 5. I'll conclude this class with the Tirukkural. கூத்து ஆட்டு அவை குழாத்து அற்றே பெருஞ்செல்வம் போக்கும் அது விளிந்தற்று. What is the meaning of it? பெருஞ்செல்வம் வந்து சேர்தல் கூத்தாடும் இடத்தில் கூட்டம் வந்து கூடுவதை போன்றது. If a person is getting a huge amount of wealth, it's like people who are in a field of like cine field, or which are nightclubs or anything, any of that sort of an act, where large mass of people turn in to get into that act. That's what he compares. People getting the wealth suddenly with huge amount of wealth. அது நீங்கி போதலும் கூத்து முடிந்ததும் கூட்டம் கலைவது போன்றது. He also compares when the same money, when it departs a person, it's like after they dance and after they leave the stage, the money also leaves from them. It's a great comparison he makes. So it's something like, do you think it's a celebration of doing drinking and doing smoking and dancing, all these things, a lot of people clapping and appreciating, it's only temporary. That's what he says in this Tirukkural by Thiruvalluvar. So we have to have this in mind and act accordingly. With this, I'm concluding this class. I'm going to start the next thala, which is the most complex thala, I would say, because it's Sangirna Jathi Triputa Thalam, which is 13 beat cycle. It's one of its kind, what we saw in level 3. We will see some korvais in Sangirna Jathi Triputa Thalam as well. And when we complete that will conclude level 5. I will talk more, that will conclude level 4, and I will talk more when I am handling that episode. Until then, Purnarari here, signing off. Episode 6, Misra Jathi Triputa Thalam, Morah 1, Mathematical Understanding, total count of 176 aksharas. Interpretation of Morah goes like this. Tom kita tagadari kita tagatat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, tom kita tagadari kita tagatat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, talangadin tat tam, tat talangadin tat tam. Tom kita tagadari kita tagatat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, takatum tom kita tagadari kita tagat, talangadin tat tam, tat talangadin tat tam. Tom kita tagadari kita tagat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, takatum tom kita tagadari kita tagat, talangadin tat tam. Tom kita tagadari kita tagat, tom kita tagadari kita tagat, talangadin tat tam. Tangkita tagadari kita tagat, tangkita tagadari kita tagat, talangadin tat tam, talangadin tat tam, talangadin tat tam. Episode 6, Misra Jathi Triputa Thalam, Korvai 1, Mathematical Understanding, total count of 88 aksharas. Interpretation of korvai goes like this.
தித்தாங்கிட்டத்தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தாங்கிட்டத்தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தாம் தத்தி கிட்டத்தன் தாங்கிட்டத்தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தாம் தத்தி கிட்டத்தன் தக்க தரிக்கிட்டத்தக்க தாம் தத்தி கிட்டத்தன் தத்தாக் துந்தும் தத்தி கிட்டத்தன் தத்தாக் துந்தும் தத்தி கிட்டத்தன் தா